What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Only One KDB, and I'm back with another video. In today's video, we got WWE details 99% of fans miss. Now, if you're new to the channel, make sure you smash that like button for your boy because it helps me get into the algorithm. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because we on the road to 2K, and hit that notification bell so you can get notified when I drop another banger. We about to get to the video. No more talking. Let's get it.
You never want to see a wrestler do this with their arms. When a match is over, wrestlers will sometimes move their arms like a chicken, regardless of whether they win or lose.
Okay.
When a wrestler makes this gesture, he or she is acknowledging they had a bad match. But that's just one small detail that most fans miss. Like, for example, everyone knows that the Dudley Boyz finisher is the 3D, but did you know that their signature hand gesture is literally a 3 and a D? I also bet you never noticed this during Bray Wyatt's entrance. The Eater of Worlds had one of the creepiest entrances in WWE. The arena would go black, and Wyatt would slowly walk to the ring with a lantern as fans made an army of fireflies using their phones. Bray's entrance usually lasted at least 2 minutes, but during that entire time, he never blinked. Think of how many times you've blinked just watching this video.
He never blinked? I did not notice that. I'm not.
We're only 44 seconds into this thing. It just shows how dedicated Bray Wyatt was to his character.
No, that's
and it's
insane.
one of the many reasons we all miss him so much.
Bray Wyatt.
For fun, see how long you can go without blinking for the rest of this video.
Right,
Dean Ambrose was another wrestler who would do small things to help enhance his character. Sometimes, while talking on the mic, Ambrose would tap it.
Then I think you need to be smart here, Dean, and you...
Why did he do this? After Seth Rollins betrayed Dean and Roman Reigns, Ambrose's character became the Lunatic Fringe. Dean started tapping the microphone as a subtle way of showing that he was unhinged. One of Samoa Joe's famous spots during his matches is when he dodges a move by simply walking away.
Shinsuke Nakamura did, and I think Samoa Joe has the same opportunity here.
It's a fun bet, and it surprisingly makes logical sense. However, Samoa Joe actually stole this spot from another wrestler. Before Samoa Joe had even gotten into wrestling, William Regal was doing this exact same thing.
Some advice here, up on top, using the rope. Oh boy, Regal.
So he stole his move. Stealer.
To be fair, Samoa Joe isn't the only wrestler who has borrowed moves from veterans. The big guy Ryback got his finisher, the Shell Shock, from another big guy. During his first run in WWE, Brock Lesnar would perform a move where he cradled his opponent on his shoulders and then fell backward. This became the inspiration for Ryback's Shell Shock finisher.
Unbelievable!
Hey!
Shell Shock!
In 2020, Roman Reigns became world champion and got Paul Heyman as his manager. As time went on, Heyman would walk on the left side of Roman while holding the championship. Right before Reigns got into the ring, he would look over at Heyman and his title. However, this all ended at WrestleMania 40, when Reigns lost the undisputed Universal Championship. Once Roman returned at SummerSlam several months later, he no longer had Paul Heyman with him. Despite not having his wise man by his side, Roman still looked to his left, reminding him of what he lost. It's a small detail, but it adds so much. Speaking of entrances, did you notice this during the Big Show's entrance? When the world's largest athlete was heading towards the ring, he would often grab his wrist. It might seem like the giant was just flexing, but it was actually a secret message. The wrist grab was a message for his wife that meant, "I love you." Similarly, Rikishi would rub his nose so that his wife and kids would know he was thinking of them. If you ever see this on Chris Jericho's left arm, it's not a good thing. In 1989, two of Jericho's personal friends, wrestler Louis Piccoli and referee Mark Curtis, passed away. When it happened, Jericho wore a black armband to pay tribute to them. Y2J likewise did the same thing in December 2009 when Umaga died unexpectedly. Other wrestlers do this too. Normally, Randy Orton wore white wrist tape. However, after Chris Benoit's passing, the Viper wore black wrist tape to mourn the death of Benoit, his wife Nancy, and their son Daniel. CM Punk was supposed to wrestle Chris Benoit at the Night of Champions pay-per-view. A day after the horrific news was shared, the Best in the World wrestled a match against Benoit's final opponent, Elijah Burke. After getting the win, Punk looked up to the sky, showing his respects to those who were no longer there. The last person who spoke to Chris Benoit, Chavo Guerrero, also paid tribute. On the first SmackDown after the Benoit tragedy, Chavo defended his Cruiserweight Championship against Funaki. Guerrero won, and after the match, Chavo looked up and said, "There's two of you home." It's unclear though if Chavo was referring to Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit or Nancy and Daniel. This next detail is something I guarantee you won't notice, but once you do, it'll make you appreciate it. So in 2009, Kofi Kingston earned a spot in the World Heavyweight Championship Elimination Chamber match. However, as Kingston was making his entrance, Edge attacked him. The assault was so bad that Kofi had to be taken out of the match, and Edge took Kingston's spot. Fast forward an entire year, and Kofi Kingston once again earns a spot in the Elimination Chamber match. As Kofi is making his entrance for the second time, he looks behind him to make sure he doesn't get jumped by Edge or anyone. It's a small but great bit of continuity. To enjoy wrestling, you have to have some suspension of disbelief. However, it can be tough to do that when wrestlers just stand there on the floor waiting for their opponent to jump out of the ring and hit them. But this wrestler found a solution to that. During a match between Rey Mysterio and Dean Malenko, Rey sent his opponent to the outside and then hit him with a springboard corkscrew senton. Rather than just stand there, Dean pretended to sneeze. A small but great bit of detail. Mick Foley is best remembered for all the crazy bumps and stunts he performed in WWE.
Oh, thank goodness.
Oh my.
However, the hardcore icon did a lot of smaller things that also show why he's one of the greatest. Whenever Mick Foley was down for the 3 count, he would still often move one of his legs. This was to show that he still had a bit more fight left in him, but not enough to keep the match going. Other wrestlers have done this too, but in different ways. During a match between Carmelo Hayes and Andrade, LA Knight was a special guest referee. Knight got pushed out of the ring, leaving Hayes and Andrade without an official. When Carmelo went for the pin, the crowd counted, but watch what Andrade does.
This could be it, but there's no official.
Despite there being no referee, Andrade still motions to kick out because he hears the count from the fans. A small detail that makes the match that much more believable.
Okay.
Sometimes though, these small details actually add more to the story. Brock Lesnar dominated John Cena at SummerSlam 2014 and took the World Heavyweight Championship. The two fought in a rematch at Night of Champions that ended in controversial fashion. After hitting 3 attitude adjustments, John Cena hit Brock with a 4th one, but Seth Rollins ran in before the referee could count the 3. However, if you look closely, you'll see that Lesnar still kicks out, showing that even if Seth hadn't interfered, John Cena still wouldn't have pinned Brock Lesnar.
I wanted to do the Money in the Bank, like run-ins, like when they run in and try to cash in their Money in the Bank. I wanted to do that be scripted too, or like do they like freelance that, like do they go off script, or like is it even a script when they win the Money in the Bank and then they get to cash it in, or do they get told when to cash it in too? I wonder.
Speaking of John Cena though, this next detail proves why he is the GOAT. In late 2023, John Cena shared he hadn't won a singles match in 5 years. The leader of the C Nation then challenged anyone in the locker room to fight him. Solo Sikoa answered the challenge, and a match was set up for the next pay-per-view, Crown Jewel. Leading up to it, Solo ambushed Cena and gave Mr. Hustle, Loyalty, and Respect a Samoan spike to the throat. A week after the attack, John Cena said this.
We've been waiting for you to talk for over a year, and that's all you bring to the table?
Even though it had been a week since the attack, John Cena changed his voice to show how devastating Solo's finisher was. Macho Man Randy Savage's gear was always phenomenal, but he also paid very close attention to detail. When he was in the NWO, Savage's pattern on his bandana lined up perfectly with his glasses. Christian was underappreciated during his time in WWE, and here's a perfect example of why he's so good.
Christian
when
was that
Christian
guy,
would compete
man.
in ladder matches, he would often tip the ladder over after getting knocked off it. This was so Christian could buy himself some recovery time and prevent his opponent from getting an easy win. It makes sense logically, and it's small details like that make Captain Charisma one of the best. Usually, when a wrestler gets clotheslined over the top rope, they go straight backward. However, if you look closely, Kurt Angle always moves to the side when he goes over the top rope. The reason for this is obvious once you hear it. Angle infamously broke his neck prior to debuting in WWE. To protect himself, the Olympic gold medalist would move to the side whenever he got thrown out of the ring, so he wouldn't risk landing on his head or neck. It's a similar story for Ric Flair. If you watch closely, during his final years as a full-time wrestler, Flair wouldn't land flat when he took a bump. The Nature Boy usually landed on his side or hip. The reason for this was primarily due to a plane crash the Nature Boy experienced in 1975. While Ric Flair continued to wrestle after the incident, he broke his back in 3 places. To avoid hurting it, Flair had to adjust how he landed in the ring. Okay, now this might not seem like a cool detail at first, but once you start breaking it down, it becomes awesome. So when William Regal would go for a pin, he would sometimes immediately go for another pin. However, Regal's opponent would always kick out of both, so why do it? What Regal was doing was turning a pinfall into an offensive move. The Englishman knew he was not going to win, but he forced his opponent to use more energy and wear them down. Not only that, but Regal often pushed his elbow into his opponent's face when he covered them. Once again, this was to make them as uncomfortable as possible and wear them down. However, from a storytelling perspective, William Regal is also literally rubbing it in his opponent's face. Regal.
Pause. But I always wondered why he used to do that. I'm like, bro, you're not. They obviously about to kick out. Why are you pinning him a second time?
Is on another level. Additionally, Regal would often wipe his feet before getting in the ring. There's a reason for this too. To find out what it is, watch the video.
But we about to get out of here, man. That's gonna do it for the video. If y'all enjoyed that reaction video, make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. This was WWE Details 99% of fans miss. We about to get out of here, man. I'll see y'all boys in the next video.